Hello, everyone. It is the Prophet Michael David, aka Aries, still scruffy. Thank you for noticing. Okay, so my next two videos are going to be about Aries and Tupac and my relationship to them, for a lack of a better term. But this one's just going to be about some math stuff and background about me, so you can know more about me. Okay, as I've detailed before in some of my previous videos, my full legal given name is Michael David Harrison. I was born on May 11th, 1978, in Iowa City, Iowa. My mom's name was Cheryl Ann Harrison, and my father's name was David Wayne Harrison. Okay, so I was born in Iowa. We moved to Wisconsin when I was little, and then we moved to Chicagoland, where I grew up in the 1990s. And then in my high school years, we moved back to Iowa, where I graduated from high school in Iowa. I eventually graduated from Iowa State University with a bachelor's degree in materials engineering in 2004. Materials engineering, my degree is a hybrid between half metallurgy and half ceramic engineering. The point of this intro is that I'm obviously a smart man and I've always been a try hard kid, but there's no reason at any point in my life that I should have started going after the greatest mathematicians in history and trying to prove them wrong, which is exactly what I did. So, for over a year before I realized I was Mashiach, I was just a prophet. I mean, I was a prophet of God. I spoke to God, but I wanted nothing to do with religion. All I wanted to do was solve the Riemann hypothesis. For all of you that do not know what the Riemann hypothesis is, it's the greatest unsolved math equation in the world. Millennium Prize, like if you solve it, you'll get a Nobel Prize for sure. Um, and I'm going to use this opportunity to screenshot it and enhance my videos so you guys can see at least what it kind of is. And that, in a nutshell, is what the barely bachelor's degree from Iowa State was trying to prove. And when I say barely bachelor's degree, I wasn't a very good student. I graduated with like a 2.0000 something something something, almost prime, not quite. Okay, full disclosure, I have not solved the Riemann hypothesis. I have some equations that come out with some very Riemann-like zeros, but I have not solved it. The point of this is once I became Mashiach, that all kind of fell off. I don't really care anymore. I still care about the Riemann hypothesis, and eventually somebody will solve it, and if they can use my work to solve it, like, more power to them. But yeah, I don't really care about it anymore. Once I became a Shiach, it's pretty much all encompassing. That being said, I did solve a bunch of mathematical stuff that I will detail on this channel, but I'll list for you right now. Okay, so firstly, I solved the twin prime conjecture, but I solved it in a geometrical way that makes it even a more solid twin prime conjecture. By that, I mean it not only proves that there are an infinite amount of twin primes, it also proves some other stuff, and then it asks some other questions about numbers themselves. Number one, it proves there are an infinite amount of twin primes. Number two, it proves there are an infinite amount of twin primes that are separated by only one odd number, and that one odd number always has to end with a 5, which means the first two primes in that set always have to start with 1 and 3, and the second two primes in that set always have to end with 7 and 9, and there are an infinite amount of those. Interestingly to me, because I haven't figured it out yet, that it also shows that the number line has the ability to have triple primes and quadruple primes, but it never ever happens. All right, the other thing I did was I disproved, kinda, the prime number theory, Carl Friedrich Gauss's prime number theory. In other words, for all your mathematicians out there, I found a line that tracks the primes much better than n times ln of n. In fact, the prime numbers zigzag over it infinitely, and I got a couple different ways to do it. And as I stated previously in this video, my other work, including my spreadsheet called Raphael's Horn, could probably use to prove the Riemann hypothesis. And then I found some other stuff like there's an ongoing question of whether there's always a prime number in between two squares. And yes, I believe this to be true. It's a conjecture, but I have a spreadsheet that shows that, yeah, they pop up as specific places in between squares. And I promise you all I will make some videos on all of these. But for now, I'm going to show you like my influences, how I got started with this, other than, being compelled by God to do it. So the first OG quote that I ever screenshotted that really gave me like confidence that I could actually solve the Riemann hypothesis was this. And in an instant, out of those four categories, I knew that I was definitely the geometer. I've always been good at geometry. Even my background, metallurgy and ceramic engineering, is a lot of geometry and a lot of the calculations, 2D and 3D geometry. But I'm not an academic, and I consider myself a common man. And like, I wanted to be able to, whatever I discovered, I wanted to be able to explain it to other people in like layman's terms. And then I found this quote by David Hilbert, and it really only enhanced that. For you that don't know, David Hilbert was one of the greatest mathematicians that ever walked this planet. And that's one of my most inspirational quotes from him. But I have to admit, that's not the one that set me off. That's the one that set me off. I am a Taurus after all. And I found this one by Einstein and others, and it only enhanced the effect. Which brings me to the thumbnail of this video. While I have not solved the Riemann hypothesis, at least not yet, I know so much about prime numbers and numbers in general that I don't even need a pi button on my calculator. Okay, the equation on the thumbnail is what I call Michael's equation. It's one of the few things that I've named after me in the last few years, but it is the only equation in human history which combines pi, Euler's number, the golden ratio, and the imaginary unit in the same equation, in a comprehensive equation. It's a very good approximation for pi. It's better than within 1 part in 900 billion. I also triple stacked exponents, double stacked Euler's number. It contains the concept of an arcson. It contains the concept of a square root. It contains the concept of whole numbers, no decimals. And it also has all the orders of operations. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. It pretty much combines everything in mathematics into one equation. Okay, again, I was a mathematical, geometrical prophet long before I was what you would call a religious prophet. But this is kind of like God saying to y'all, I mean, you can doubt the God stuff that the self-proclaimed prophet says, but if you can't even figure out his math, then maybe you shouldn't doubt him so much. Okay, my next two videos are going to be on Aries and Tupac, and I'm going to try to keep incorporating like screenshots of my work or influences or whatever into the videos like I did in this video. And then I'm going to try to lace in some more mathematical stuff as breaks in between. And on the mathematical stuff, I will explain the twin prime conjecture and everything. I'll try to be as complete as I can with the assets I have. And hopefully I just don't do it. I'm not like a real tech heavy person. I never wanted to be a social media person. I'm only forced to by God. But if maybe somebody nicely in the comments could explain the most easiest way to distribute, like a backup drive worth of information to the public, then I would do it that way, It's not that I don't want to share the information. I just don't know how to. I'm not a tech person. I was born in 1978. I was 18 in 1996. I'm not into social media. So I just don't know how to do this stuff. Not to sound gripey at this video, but no one's ever helped me with anything. I always had to do stuff on my own, with a few exceptions. My mom's and some friends and everything, but yeah, I've kind of been a black sheep loner my entire life, so I always had to learn stuff on my own. And so far, I haven't learned how to do the social media stuff very well. Otherwise, this channel would be, I guess, better than it is. But I'm trying to make that up with actual good content. And by good content, I mean, amongst other existential questions or regular questions you have, does God exist? Yes. Is there an afterlife? Yes. Why do we exist? Harder question. What is the meaning of life? Harder question, you know? But I can answer all those for you. It just takes time. So, as always, ending here, do not touch other people without their consent, aka, do not hurt other people. And it's all about honesty. Lies are a tick down, aka, try not to lie. And elaborating on that because of the afterlife video I did, God and the angel of the Lord are always watching you. So if you don't think there are any consequences for your actions, even with there aren't other people around, you are mistaken. They're always with you. All right. Y'all have a good day or a good night.